For 5,000 years, the wisest men on earth gave humanity one specific warning. It was written in the Torah. It was commanded in the Bible. It was law in the Quran. They didn't disagree on much, but they disagreed on nothing regarding this. The warning was simple. Do not charge interest on money. They called it usury, and they called it a sin against nature. They didn't ban it because they hated profit. They banned it because they understood mathematics better than we do. They knew that money creates nothing, only labor creates value. To demand that money birth more money is to demand a mathematical impossibility, a cancer that grows until it consumes the host. But we thought we were smarter. We called it modern finance. We built cathedrals not to God but to compound interest. And now, we are living in the wreckage of the very thing we were told not to build. To the people of the book, you betrayed your own instructions. You were given a blueprint for a stable society, and you traded it for a credit card. You allowed a parasitic class to rise from within your own ranks. Men who produce nothing, build nothing, and sow nothing, yet they own everything. How? Through the mechanism of debt. You allowed them to turn the planet into a giant casino where the house the usurers never loses. They lend you money they didn't earn and demand you pay it back with labor you haven't done yet, plus interest that doesn't exist. It is a Ponzi scheme so vast that you cannot even see the walls of the prison. You walk past churches and mosques built on land owned by banks. You pray for freedom while paying 20% interest to a master who sees you only as a yield curve. You ignored the warning. And now, the parasite has eaten the host. Look at the result. 99% of the human race are slaves. I don't use that word lightly. If you do not own your time, you are a slave. If you must work for 40 years just to pay off the interest on a house you mostly rent from a bank, you are a serf with an iPhone. Billions of people walk this earth with dreams. They want to paint, to build, to explore, to heal. But they die with those dreams inside them. Why? Because they spent their entire conscious life servicing a debt. They trade their life force for paper tickets just to stay at zero. The statistic is damning. The average person leaves this planet with less than $1,000 to their name. A lifetime of labor. Gone. Siphoned up the pyramid to the architect class who understood the math you ignored. The system relies on one thing: your participation. It relies on you wanting things you cannot afford. It relies on your envy. It relies on your willingness to sign the contract. But the math works both ways. If usury is the chain, then solvency is the key. The moment you stop borrowing, you starve the parasite. When you refuse to pay interest, you remove their power. If the world stopped borrowing tomorrow, the banking cartel would collapse by Friday. They need your debt to create their money. Without your signature, they are bankrupt. To walk out of the casino, to realize that credit is not a lifeline, it is a leash. Whether you called it debt, credit, leverage, it is all usury. Credit is the drug dealer giving you the first taste. Debt is the addiction that follows. Two faces of the coin, the servitude coin. The math is undeniable. You cannot build a civilization on compound interest. It will always end in ruin. We are at the end of the cycle. The ruin is here. But for those who understand the trap, the exit is visible. Stop borrowing, start owning, reclaim your sovereignty. Don't die a slave to a ledger. I have mapped the architecture of their trap and the path to the exit. Their financial shift plan, their playbook, and their origins and mechanisms. What they planned is worse, and it is here.